catalyst for change with the chance to thrive. Crystal is the one to stir up gifts and save lives. You get exposure, promotion, and marketing too. And advertise for business owners just like you. On Storytime, your interview is global. Virtual or in person, just come on the show. Yo, your story matters. Crystals will open the door. 40 years of experience, ready to give you more on Storytime. Get ready for Storytime. Hey, come on.
All right, everybody, are you ready? This is Crystal. I am so excited to have you here on Storytime. I want you to know that now you can be seen and heard. Yes, Storytime has expanded, and you will be able to see yourself streaming live on multiple platforms. So come on over and get with us and check it out. I want you to go ahead and schedule your interview, and you never know where they might find you online. So thanks for watching. See you. Let's go ahead and get ready to receive our guests. And I'm going to move this out the way. And I'm going to say hello. And we are going to bring our guest up because we know she's in the green room waiting. And I most definitely have to give her a round of applause because I've seen the list of everything. Miss April, are you there? Hello, good evening. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Man, I am so honored. Just reading everything that you have done, April, I am overjoyed to be able to share your story. So how are you doing? I'm so excited to have you and to let everybody know what you're doing here during Black History Month because you are most definitely a gem that people need to know about. So how have you been enjoying this Black History Month? Have you been doing anything out there with these events they have?
I know there's so many wonderful events, different parades, different exhibits. My father and I went to the African American Culture Center in Washington, D.C. So I'm pretty excited about that. And just to see the journey that we have had as a people of color, and
yes.
know that we didn't have a voice at some point.
Yes.
For it. Women were beaten and raped and jailed. And so I am so excited that you are using your voice with this platform.
Yeah.
There was a time when we didn't have a platform, right? So I'm very, very thankful to be here, especially Black History Month, and to be able to support you and you support me. And that's what it's all about. So thank you.
That's what it's all about. And the connection was made by a beautiful individual, your mom, Miss Patricia. I just love her. She's doing amazing work in the community too. So Patricia, great job with April here. So I see the apple does not fall far from the tree. Now, so let's do this, April. We're going to get into this list of everything that you have done, but I always like to start with the general question that I ask all my guests, and that is, who is April? And when I ask that, what I'm asking is, tell the people your name, where you're from, a little bit about your upbringing, and who you were before the professional career, before the education. Just who is April Mial?
All right. So April Mial is first and foremost someone who's very passionate about writing. When I was younger, my parents actually humored me. And encouraged me to be able to share whatever I wrote in front of family and friends as if I was on stage. And they really, really encouraged me to develop that talent. And so I'm very, very excited that my parents did that. I'm sure some of the things I've written weren't the best, but they kept encouraging me. And so this is one of the reasons why I'm very, very passionate and continue to move forward and want to tell great stories. So that's who I am, a writer.
So let me ask you something. When did you discover this? Was it in kindergarten, elementary school? How young were you?
As soon as I could learn how to write. I would say that my mother, before I went to bed every night, either my father or my mother would read to me. And so then I started to become creative and start just making up stories, and I would say, hey, you know what, I got this idea. And they would, again, listen, whether we were driving to the country where my father's family lived, and they would just allow me to just be imaginative, So, yeah.
Yeah, was that here in North Carolina?
That is true. In Wendell, North Carolina. Yes.
Wendell, so you're from this area. So now, do you remember when you submitted like your first piece? Was it a poem, or when you participated in the first type of competition or anything in school?
So yes, it wasn't a competition per se, but it was when I was in the 6th grade, this is when I became a little bit more bold. A guy named Mr. Stafford, he was really, really into the arts. And so we had to memorize like, "Oh, Captain, My Captain," which is a really, really famous poem, or "I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings," or anything dealing with the arts that had a really a grit to it, so to speak.
Yes.
To memorize it in the 6th grade, and perform it in front of everybody else. And I took that personally. Like, I got excited to do it. I'm not an actress. I tell people I am not an actress, but the way that the words spoke to me was something that I felt he, as a teacher, helped me to develop and made me more comfortable in that space. So as a result, we also too with spelling words. This was a time when I was in school when you just threw the words on the page and they would give you a group of 20 words or something like that you had to memorize and know. Well, he went a step further and said, you've got to write stories based upon it. And so when I wrote my stories, some students were like 1 or 2 pages, and that they were one and done. I probably had 20 pages, And I remember one time I had said a word, humongous, and he says, okay. That's not a word. But he laughed so hard from my 20-page book that he didn't even care that humongous was not a word. That's what he said to me. I mean, I'm sure it's in the dictionary now, but at that time, it made me go, okay, if I got the teacher to laugh, and he was a very stiff guy, like very military kind of guy, very disciplined. And for me to crack through that exterior, for him to appreciate what I had written, that was impressive. He actually was an African-American man too. And so that's another thing too. I had never seen any teacher who was a male, and an African-American male at that. And he was very, very encouraging, especially to us as African-American kids.
Yeah, those are far and few between, those African-American male teachers. We need more of those. I actually used to work with the SNEA, and not too many men out there. So you're right about that. Yeah. So that's amazing. So he got you to come out of your shell and got you to be a little bit more comfortable going in front of people. And so then after that, what happened? Did you start writing more? Did you start doing more? And did you start participating in more programs in school?
Interestingly enough, I then, after something happened in high school where I was more focused on math. I did do well in school, but my thing was math. So I really focused on that and kind of left writing a little bit until I got into college, and then I majored in math again, right? So that was my thing. And then we were supposed to take a English 101 and 102, right? Just 2 classes just to satisfy. And I was so scared to take it because, again, I didn't have the confidence at that point, because I'm a creative writer, and what I felt that the class was looking for was more structured. There's an art to writing, right? It's not just you just write something on a page, but I was very, very nervous about that. And so I took it in the summer, and I had a great teacher, and she put that bug right back into me, and I changed majors. I said, well, I can pile up more English and end up getting out quicker as a result of the math, because math is very, very linear. You have to build on things. But from there, again, I just wrote and I got published. I went to, it was my first published article. It was a Black romance. And I thought I was going to, tackle the world with this one little story. And so when I reached out to the lady to find out about my story, she said, well, it's not that good, but it's got potential. That's what she said, potential. And I was so eager. I didn't let that discourage me. I'm like, well, said, you said it wasn't that good. What can we do to make it good? And so she spent about an hour and a half with me going over the story and telling me why it wasn't as strong as she had hoped it could be. But going through the motions with her, redoing it, revising it a couple of times, I finally got published, and I got $100 for it, right? So
wow.
like I say, I was published, and that was in my early 20s. It was probably 21, 22, something like that. And I had to tell my mom, I bought all these copies of it, and I have one framed up here in my house as the first thing that was published. And then from there, I, maybe made 6 more stories from that, just so I knew it was not a fluke. But then I decided that I didn't want to just write flat. I didn't want to just do the magazines. I had never tackled a book, but I wanted to say, what's the next step? And the next step for me was the bigger screen. I'm like, well, you know what? How hard can it be? So I'm always ask myself that question: how hard can it be? Well, sometimes it can be a little challenging, especially if this is new to you. Mm-hmm. But I was willing to learn. So I didn't go to school formally for this, but I took, like if they offered a session, like a 2-day session or something like that, I went ahead and took advantage of it. And, it might have cost $100, $200 or something like that for 2 days. But I got insight of software I needed to buy, how I needed to structure a film, how I needed to tell a story and be engaging. The first 10 minutes are the most important. So in essence, it's the first 10 pages. And then, just working with actors, people who could actually act. Again, I'm not an actress, but I was around them enough that I could tell if they were good or not. And I wanted to make sure that I did not just get anybody. I wanted to make sure that whatever foot that I stepped on, it was the best foot that I could possibly do. So through trial and error, you learn a lot, but I still lost money too, right? But I wanted to be better at it, keep plugging at it. And that was my thing. It wasn't the money. It was about the product itself. How can
you taught yourself?
Yeah.
You taught yourself. So that's amazing. 2 things. Number one, when the teacher first said that wasn't good enough, you didn't let it discourage you. And I'm glad that she was the type of teacher that she actually did show you some things to make it better. Because some teachers don't go to that extent. They just tell you it's not good. And then that's it. They send you on the way. And that just kills people's self-esteem. Yeah. So I'm glad that happened for you. And then you started digging further because you said, I have a love for this. I have a passion for this. Yeah. I don't only want to write, but I want to take it further. I want to go to the big screen. And so that's just amazing. So then before you followed through with all that, did life take you to some other turns? I mean, did you wind up, do you have like any children, or did you get married, or are you still single?
You can put my business all out there, aren't you? No, I am not. I don't have any kids. My baby is my work, right? But I was married for about 14 years. Yeah. And
okay.
Yeah, I'm not married anymore, though.
Okay, that's fine. No, I pulled that out there for a reason, because like, somebody's watching you and somebody is going to be inspired by you, right? And so obviously you were very focused and determined, and you knew what you wanted to do. And so I want to ask you, through that time, going through getting married, falling in love and everything like that, how did you stay focused? How did you stay driven? And how important was it to have somebody there to support you during the process? Because sometimes we can't do the things we want to do because we don't have that support. And some people don't know how to do it without the support.
So I will say this, I'm driven, right? So to step back a little bit, my father always pushed me to be independent, right? And he and I talk about that now, but he grew up his mother grew up in a time where the man had more rights than the woman did, and she had to rely on the spouse to get things done. And same thing with my mom to some degree, right? So he didn't want his daughter to experience that. He always wanted me to be in control of my life, to be able to follow the passions that I wanted to follow, that kind of thing. Same thing with my mom, but just on a different level. It's a little different when you got your father behind you versus your mom, but they both are very, very supportive. Anyway, moving forward with my marriage, this is not a bashing by no means. I do know that he loved me. but I would say that he probably did not know how to support me the way that I needed to be supported. So for me, I still, because it was in me to do stories, to create and write, I stayed focused on that. And I also would say this, as a person who's creative, sometimes people don't really understand that you have to give birth to something. So like if you don't give birth to it, then you may go through a depression, or you may feel like your life may be inadequate, or there's something missing, that kind of thing. So I did suppress it for some time because the creative bug can be overwhelming sometimes if it's not going in the path that you want it to go into. So I had people around me to kind of help encourage me, even when I said, no, I'm done with it. And then they would say, no, you're not done, April. So it was the collectiveness. It wasn't just all intrinsic. It had to be other people in my corner seeing something that I didn't see for myself at that time. And then once I got back on track, then I was able to continue to move forward. And now, since I'm seeing more of where I've come from to where I am, I'm even more excited, right? So, and
yes,
the goal is, I'm getting other people excited about what we're doing as well. As long as the product is good, that's what I stand behind. And I will be one to continue to push people to get the right product, right? Because at the end of the day, after you finish filming, you can't necessarily go back unless it's going to cost you more money, and you don't really want to do that, right? So, and you kind of explain that to people as well.
So it sounds like twice you've had the opportunity when you didn't quite have the support, or you didn't have somebody endorsing you like you needed. You validated yourself. You believed in yourself, because the way Dad instilled everything in you, and I'm sure Mom played a part too. You weren't going to let anything stop you. You were going to keep going. So that's amazing. So then you went on, and I can tell that you got the education. You went and you did a lot with education. I saw the path that you followed with your mom, very educated. And then I see that you went to New York City. And in New York City, you did amazing work. You worked with some really cool people. I see some names that I know people are familiar with, like Spike Lee and people like that. So tell us how you got to that point. How did you get from being a big dreamer and being so driven to positioning yourself to be able to go and get these internships or jobs? Because I think you started out with a career in television, right? And you went with public affairs. I see that. And you worked with a lot of production teams, and then you moved to New York. So everything you did here with TV, it inspired you and pushed you to want to go even further and go to New York and work with the others. But let's back up a minute. Talk to us about the TV, the difference between the television and film. Okay. Do you see a big difference in that?
For the work that I do, yes. So I would say from a writer's point of view, there is difference in terms of how you write, right? So it may have a standard structure, but with film, you've got a certain amount of time that you got to keep the story going, versus television. You just have to have a problem each episode, right? So that's a difference with that. I find writing for television a little bit more challenging. I will say that. But at the end of the day, it's still a story, right? So that's what I love. But when I was working in television in Raleigh, I actually was more on the administrative side. I did do voiceovers. I did learn how to work a camera for news, that kind of thing. So I do have that experience, which helped me to then, when I got on set, I know about angles. I know about how I want things to look in the scene, right? So I looked at everything that I've done as something that I've built on. So when I went to New York, again, that was part of divine intervention here, right? So everything, when I tell people, whatever you decide to do, you have to speak it, right? You speak it as if you have that you're already in that space. So for me, I kept saying I'm a writer. Remember the woman who sat down and helped me to write my story? She was the editor, and she helped me to write the story or give me some pointers on how to make it better. That fueled me to then talk to someone else about, hey, you know, what's the business about this? I needed to understand not just the writing part, but what's the business side of this as well, because I really wanted to make this a career. And she says to me, the lady, when I was going out, she says, you know, there's a woman named Terry Williams who wrote this book called The Personal Touch. Why don't you read this book? And that way you can kind of understand how to be a little bit more outgoing. Remember, I don't know if I told you, but I was a shy person. So the sixth grade teacher helped me get out of my shell, right? So I could perform in front of people. But I still had problems going into a room that I didn't know anybody. I was very, very nervous, right? So
wow.
She gave me some pointers on this. And then too, I was an athlete. So when you're because they used to say to me, well, how can you play in front of all these people and you were shy? Well, it was because I didn't focus on the people. I focused on the task.
Oh, man. What sport did you play?
I was a basketball player, right? I'm 5'11".
Oh.
Yeah.
You were a basketball player and you were shy.
Yeah.
So here you are now doing the things you're doing. Took all that energy and yes, playing basketball teaches you a lot. So I can imagine that. That's amazing. So you took all that and then you read this book and the book helped you even more?
It did. Well, what it did is, and Terry Williams, she had clients like Eddie Murphy, the Hughes brothers, all of these big names, you know, people of color who were doing things. But it was at the back of the book that intrigued me, right? Again, remember my motto is, why not? How hard can it be, right? That's always going to be my motto, right? So I was on NBC at the time when I was reading the book. And again, I was doing the camera stuff, right? For the news, right? Locally. So, and this is probably the first time I'm telling anybody on this show, you know, about what you have. Sometimes you have to do what you got to do to get where you want to go. So at the end, at the back of the book, it said, if you want to intern with me, then reach out to me. And I had never thought about interning anywhere, right? So I called them up. So her assistant, Regina, talked to me and she's like, yeah. And I said, yeah, I'm going to be coming to New York and I'm going to be living there. None of this was true. But I said, you know, again, speaking things. Right? So I said, and I saw that I can intern and I'd like to intern. So she said, okay, well, when are you going to be here? So we started making plans. Again, at NBC, I was on the 401k plan, all of these different things, but that was not my life. I said, no, I want more. So I had told them that I needed to go to New York to take care of my grandfather who lived in New York at the time because he's not that well. So what that meant was I could be away for a duration of time and people understood that I was there to take care. Now, did I see my grandfather? Absolutely. So it wasn't totally off, right? So I was there, I interned with her. And then I called up Spike as well, you know? So I said, well, while I'm here, let me go ahead and call his office. And so I did both interns at the same time. And so she's like, oh, yeah, I know Spike. I can put a good word in for you. And I said, well, thank you for that. So, yeah, so that's how it all kind of worked itself out. And I think, and I only made $3 a day for her, but I made $10 a day for Spike. But the cool thing about it is I got the experience. I got a chance.
Yes. Yeah. Listen, she said, do what you have to do to get it done. And she called up these people and said, listen, I'm coming to New York. Wasn't even planning on going to New York, but she spoke it into existence. In the good book, it says you have what you say. So she said it out her mouth. She believed it in her heart and she manifested that thing, y'all. Do you see that? She manifested that. The shy little girl was no longer shy anymore.
Right.
And then you got there and you got all that experience. And that's amazing. What are some of the biggest lessons that you say you learned working with both of those individuals that you carry with you now in everything you do?
Well, one is you have to have great product, period. Right. So like even when I was telling you about the editor and I'm writing with her for the magazine, that's one type of writing. But then you come to with Spike Lee, and I have to read a book. First of all, they would give me like task of read a 300-page book overnight and write coverage on it, right? And coverage is basically a summary, but it's a specific type of summary that you have to give because they need to determine whether or not they want to pursue that as a project. So they're relying on you to be able to give them some good feedback on whether or not this is a good project to invest in. So I learned how to read books very fast. I learned to write coverage really well. Again, Ross would sit down with me. He was working at Spike at the time, and he was like, okay, well, this is what you could improve on in this. So every step of the way, I was always learning, but I had to be open to it, right? Yeah. It wasn't like, well, I know how to write. No. It wasn't that. I was there making $10 a day for a reason. You
were soaking it in. You were taking it in.
Yes. And I got a chance to see dailies, which are like when you go to any set, they film it, right? But then with the producer, because that was a movie that it was Love and Basketball at that time. And
my goodness, so you were on the set for Love and Basketball. That's my oldest daughter's favorite movie.
I love that movie. But no, we're in New York, but they were filming it in LA, right? But it was dailies that they would send, the video that they would send to us so we could see what they were
filming. Gotcha.
That's why they call them dailies, right? So I got a chance to do that, and then we would critique and talk through it. And then I got a chance to meet some other interns. Some of them I keep in contact with today, which is kind of cool. So what did I learn from the experience is where I was in my life, living in North Carolina. Now, I've got a whole new state that I went to. I had to find a place to live. I have to just tell you this though. When I tell people that I was going to New York, so then it was like, oh, I got to find a place to stay. I still had my check coming in from NBC because of the vacation time, but I needed a place to stay, and it was hard for, and I was only going to be up there for, a few months, but it actually turned out to be longer. Well,
so you worked with the Terry Williams Agency, and at that time, The Personal Touch, is that what Terry wrote? Is that her work, The Personal Touch?
Yes.
And she is actually the publicist for top entertainment clients out there, like Eddie Murphy, the Hudson Brothers, Master P, and the late Johnny Cochran. So you really did get some great foundational values instilled in you working with her, because she was out there with some people. And then to go from there to being with Spike Lee. Yeah. And I think at that time it was 40 Acres and a Mule Filmworks.
Yeah.
That was being developed. So that's amazing, April. That is totally amazing for you to have manifested all that for yourself, and then took all that experience and then later on to start your own industry. And at that time it was Lilac Films. Is that correct?
It was Lilac Films. And then what did I learn? I learned that you need to pay that domain. So it elapsed, right? So now I definitely make sure I pay that every year. But
I learned that one too. I learned that. But you know what the funny thing is about the domains? People are watching you when you're actively doing things and you are successful, and they want to grab it. Like they watch, and when that date comes up for it to renew, it's like, why would they want? Mine was my name.
Yeah,
I was like, why somebody want my name?
Yeah,
because I'm doing a lot, and they see that my name is busy, so they figure if they grab it, we're gonna pay for it. We're gonna want to give them money. I said, you know what? So you're right. That is a valuable lesson. People need to go. So when you created Lilac Film, you were thinking about a faith-based movie that you wanted to do. You weren't gonna have no nudity, no violence, no profanity. That was the goal. I love that because you know what you wanted. So let's talk about that for a moment. A lot of people get in the film industry and they want to act, they want to write, they want to do things, but they don't really know what they want. So you had a standard out the gate. You knew what you was going to do and what you wasn't. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. So now, even today, even though you've changed the name and you've moved on, after producing all those projects that you did, you still stick to that.
Yeah. I think that you can have a great story without that other stuff, right? And that's the challenge, right? So, it's easy to curse and easy to throw something out there, or it's easy to show a couple of boobs, it's easy to do that, right? To add that effect. Now, if the story calls for it, that's what it is. But mine are more relationship based kind of thing. I want to talk more about the interaction in
Yes.
the relationship, right? That's more important to me. I'm not going to say that I will never work with someone who does do that, but for me, this is what my standard is, because I've always, if I did have kids, I would want them to see it. So
Okay, so you went from Lilac Films, and then you came up with this amazing name, Rock, Groove, and Jam.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with that? Where did that come from? Rock, Groove, and Jam.
So I was working one day and I wanted something that was fun, right? Because Lilac Films no longer there. It came from lilac, meaning, purple, royalty, faith, that kind of thing, right? So I lost it, right? So I wanted to go around the gate and say, you know what? Let me do something that's fun. So what is something? So when you say Rock, Groove, and Jam, don't you smile when you say that?
Yes, yes.
It took a while to come up with that name, because I knew I liked the rock part. Is it so? And so I would throw different names to different people and say, well, what do you think about that kind of thing? But once it hit. I was like, yeah, this is how I want to move forward with it. So, and I tell people, it really is about, it's more than a logo. It is an attitude, right? So that's what you'll see when you first pop onto the website, because I wanted people to be excited about it. It's not just something you see, but it's something that you feel, something that when you see the words or you hear me say it, you interact and you smile as well, right? So we want positiveness in this world, right? Because there's a lot of negativity out here. So
It is. You're right about that. So thank you for that, because in everything that you're doing to remain positive is a beautiful thing, because there's so much entertainment. There's a lot of reality shows. Oh, there's plenty to do, but having that tasteful, positive energy to be able to turn on, to not have to worry about the nudity, the profanity, the vulgarity, that's definitely very enlightening and tempting. Makes me want to know more. So let's go into you published a few books too in addition to that. So you wrote some books, and I know you have some wonderful stage plays and things coming up. We're going to get into that. Well, not really a play, it's a film. It's an actual film. So let me ask you, did you ever do any plays, or you went straight to films?
So I did work with the women on a play, and it was very challenging for me, because I love theater. I will go to a theatrical production all day long because I love it, but it's a different beast. And so, and it's live, and it's a lot more stress. So, and then even the way that you have to write it is a little bit more challenging. Right? So I will say that to say that was my first, because I did get other people who were actually really good at it in the theater. So I was more on the producer side. I did do some writing for it, but I definitely can't take full credit.
Wow. Now I just looked at the notes here. I'm looking at my notes, and I just realized something else that we have in common. I'm so glad that I met you, because like I told you, I have a documentary and stuff I'm doing too. Mm-hmm. I just published my book, right? I don't know if you know that, but did you see my title of my book? And then I'm looking at your first book was called Out on a Limb and Still Standing. And my book is called Still Standing, The Birth of Home Catalyst. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. It was divine intervention here. Absolutely. So,
wow. Yeah. That's amazing. I just spotted that. I'm like, oh my goodness. Look at how God works. He really works mysteriously, right?
Absolutely.
So in your first book, what was that first book, Out on a Limb and Still Standing, about? What did that tell about your story?
So it was about the journey that I took just to make my first film, right? So and I think when you talked about at the beginning about challenges that I faced, I talk about the trip to New York, faith, things that I'm saying, I'm putting them in action into it, to make it come to fruition, right? It's just not going to fall from the sky, right? But if you put one foot in front of the other, still believing that it's done, then he does open up doors. I can give you that firsthand that that's exactly what he does, right? So the energy, we're all energy. So the energy we create, whether it's happy or sad or believing, or if I'm challenged, then sometimes I have to change the way. I might have to walk around the block just to change the way that my energy is at that moment, right? Because he wants us to know that if he created this universe, he can do anything. right?
Anything.
That's what we have to remember about who he is.
That's it.
So that book was about the lessons learned, you know, that at the end of every chapter, when I did take one step, what it meant. If it was a way to have to step back, then okay, well, why did I step back? What lesson did I learn from this in order to take 2 steps forward? So that's me trying to help someone else to say, you can do this. You really can. I'm not even any different. You know, I didn't go to church every Sunday, but you know what? My faith is very strong, you know, so I would tell anybody, you know, that's who he is. And he wants us to show other people that through him and through us, anything is possible.
Everything is possible for them that believe. And I'm telling you, the reason why I can't compose myself, and I'm sitting here like, I wish I could get up and go get my book, but I'm telling you right now, in my book, after every chapter, I did something where I included the people too. So that's just blowing my mind here, just blowing my mind. And I see that you also have a follow-up book. So you did a follow-up book that was also out on a limb. What was it? Failure is...
It's not an option. Yeah, failure is not an option because we have to continue to talk to ourselves, right? So everything that we do in life, we have to remember we will always face challenges, but it's about that mindset. Yes. And when I say failure is not an option, you hear a lot of stories about actors when they say, I didn't have anything else to fall back on, so I need to make sure that I went forward, you know? So when you start to have that mindset, you will be amazed that the doors will continue to open, because then what you do, instead of being fixated on what the challenge is, you're more fixated on how can I get through this challenge to get to the goal that I'm looking for. And to me is what I've lived by. You know, don't get me wrong, I have challenges, but I don't sit in the corner and cry. I'll dust myself off and say, okay, well then where do we need to go to get to where we need to go? So,
yes. And I see that you actually have a website too. And I'm looking at your website here that you have. You created a website with the rock grooves and jams, and again talking about stories, and then you go into a couple of your projects that you have here. So ladies and gentlemen, go to her website, Rock Groove and Jam. Please go to her website and really get to understand what she's doing and learn more about her beautiful website, where she gives you a little bit. She talks about who she is and the different things she's done in the different roles she's played, okay, as a director, you know, casting director. So there's a difference between being a director and a casting director, okay? So that's why you see she has both of those listed, producer, writer, and author. But her favorite hat is being the president of Rock, Groove, and Jam. So there's also much more you can look at on the website under Rock, Groove, and Jam. And remember, it's a company built on the principle that women are valuable once they realize they have their voice. So use that voice and connect with them. Connect with them on Facebook and everywhere under that name, April. It's under Rock, Groove, and Jam on all those platforms.
So when they go to Rock, Groove, and Jam, it gives the links of the social media to the right of the page, and they would just click on that and be able to be added. But they also do, when they get on, they can just be added to the distribution list, and then they will be sent this information.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go there. She's got, and we're going to talk about that next. So now we talked about all of that. Before we go into the film that you have, because she's got some exciting stuff going on, guys. I know you saw me a minute ago when I put it up, and I went to a picture that I posted up there. I gave you a sneak peek, and you didn't know what it was probably. You're like, what is she showing here? Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted you to see that she does have a new thing coming up, and you saw me put this picture up right there. Yes, Torn Apart. So we're going to get into Torn Apart and what's happening with this, because she has an amazing movie starting, and everything is coming up in June, and we're going to talk about some dates and everything with that. But let me ask you one thing before we go into the Torn Apart, just for people who are interested in the film industry. Casting director versus being a director, because some people want to wear all the hats, right? And they don't really understand. Talk about that for a moment, and what it is that you need to do. So when people are coming to audition, what do they need to do? What are casting directors really looking for? Can you help people out with that for a moment, since you've been a casting director?
Oh, absolutely. So we just had auditions for an upcoming movie that we're producing in September. And one of the things that I look for is one, personality, how well they take directions. Let's say, for example, they come with the script memorized. I may change it up just to see where their range is. Can they take that same script and then be upset? How far will they go, right? When I say that, what that means is, if I don't feel what they're trying to convey, then I won't use them, because the camera doesn't lie. From the naked eye, we're having a conversation, I'm feeling it, but the camera itself may not feel the same thing. And that's why on set, I'm looking through a monitor, so I can make sure that your eyes reflect what your feeling is. So I look at that. I look at how, if I ask you to sing, I look at, and if you say, no, I don't sing, okay, maybe they're not open to at least trying, right? I look at that. I look at if they do have their lines memorized, or how quickly they can learn lines. These are different factors, but the most important thing is if they take direction very well, if they have their lines memorized, if they're excited about the part, or if I change up things on them, how easy or how flexible they are.
Wow. Now, the great project that you're working on now that led us here, how I learned about you when Mom made that call to me, is the big movie you got coming up now. Talk to us about what's happening now, how you got here, how this all came about. Talk to us about Torn.
Okay, thank you. So about 17 years ago, I made a movie called Torn. That was my first feature that I had done. I was pretty excited about it. You think it's a one and done. Fast forward, I had done some other projects, but one of the actors who did the movie 17 years ago said, hey, April, you ever thought about redoing Torn? And I'm like, no, never thought about that. But what I can do is let Torn now be a part of a trilogy. And so now the movie is called Torn Apart, which is the second installation of the Torn series, right? So then what we're shooting in September is Torn Apart again. So we've got Torn Apart, and then Torn Apart again to be able to wrap this trilogy up. So this movie, I wanted to explore father-daughter relationships. My father and I have a good relationship, but there are a lot of women out there who did not have a good relationship with their father. Or they're dating a guy who looks at her as subservient, whereas he tells his daughter to be independent, right? So it's that kind of a contradiction, right? So those are a couple of themes that I wanted to explore through this relationship, but it had to do with the mother, the main character dying, one of the main characters dying, in order to bring them together. And through the strength of the daughter, she helps her father to see the value of the independence that he pushed her to have, and how valuable it is in his life so he can move on and grow, right? So that's kind of like a cool dynamic that a lot of us don't talk about. There were not a lot of stories of just father-daughter themes, as the main story. Now, there were some with the theme embedded in it, but why not? Especially African-American families, so.
Wow. And so let me give y'all a sneak peek of what she's talking about, because this is coming to a city near you. We're going to claim it. It's going to be coming to a city near you. We know that right now we have some things coming up, definitely. And if you want to learn more and you didn't in this area, so March 10th, she will be at the ACE Center, and you'll get a sneak peek, but it's going to actually be playing in theaters. So, but let's show you what we're talking about first. Just take a peek.
My name is Jasmine Baxter, proud daughter of Juanita and Bernard Baxter.
How did the event go last night?
Jasmine was a woman on the rise.
Yeah, I just finished getting ready. Okay, well, for the last time you and I are not getting married, I'm going to be my own boss. I'll stop by the salon later today. It's been a while since I've been by there.
When tragedy hit, her mother died.
She was just here. Wait.
Coming this Father's Day, laugh, cry, be torn apart. Purchase your tickets now. Rock, groove, and jam.
And let me tell you something. I love it. I love it. I love it. The way you did that trailer is amazing. Like, let's talk about what it takes to make a captivating trailer so that people can really understand what that's about. What did it take to make a captivating trailer that, because you only have a couple of seconds.
Right. Only thing, so the first thing I did, and I edited it myself, right? So I would say that you know the totality of the story, but what is the heart of the story? What is the thing that you want people to get out of it? And in this case, I wanted them to see the strength of the young woman, you know, the 20-something-year-old businesswoman. I wanted them to see her strength. And then you come with a challenge, and then that's the cliffhanger, right? So then you'll see when we come out with our new trailer in about another month, you'll see more of the father and the daughter relationship, right? Adding a little bit more meat to the bone, so to speak, and that way that tells more of the story. But we just want to give you a little teaser for this here. So that was my stance, you know, in creating that trailer.
So when you're creating a trailer, you don't give them too much, you give them just enough,
right?
So that they want to see more. Mm-hmm. And then when you do that, it allows them the ability to want to just come back for more, right? Come back for more. That's what the whole thing is. Make them want to come back for more. Yeah. Now, I know that was a 30-second trailer. Yeah. So you're learning something here today. We're learning from one of the greatest, y'all. We're learning from one of the greatest. So we're doing this for a reason, because we're trying to let you see how she's teaching y'all how to do this. Yeah. Now, that was a 30-second trailer. Mm-hmm. So now let's take a look and see something else that she's got here, and we're going to see how she did it, just to understand there's many ways to do this. You can go into being a film producer, but you have to know how to go about doing this, right? So we want to show y'all from one of the best, because this girl has learned from the best, and now she's doing a great job. So now let's show you another way to captivate people, and this is a 2-minute version. Okay, yes. So let's show them the 2-minute version so they can really see the difference and understand how to go about doing this and see what she did. Hold on. Okay.
Oh.
Hey, I saw your car out front. I figured you was in the kitchen looking for another recipe.
Why is Lenny still here?
He told me you stopped by. I've been meaning to tell you.
Is he helping you with your current situation? You know you're going to be out in the street soon.
I'm working on it.
So what's your plan?
I'm working on it.
I don't know what your definition of a friend is, Daddy, but mine is one who will help you in a time of need. How does he hold value in your life? Well, I have a plan, and I need for you to come by Russell's house tomorrow.
See, the last time him and I saw each other.
We're looking towards the future.
And what if I don't come?
Then you'll lose me.
Ooh. I love it. Now I love the way you did that with the everything. You went through there with the sound and all of that. Oh my goodness gracious, this is really amazing. So hold on one second here. That is so good. So talk to us about what does a person need to do when they want to become. Let me see this. Hold on a minute. Let me see what's going on here. Thank you. Hold on one second. Hold on. Let me pause this. Hold on. That was amazing. That was amazing. I love it. I love the way you use the sound, the laughter, the angles. When you said you learned about the angles, the way you were switching the cameras from left to right, and the music, the way you ended it, the 2 minutes with it. So that came with practice, I'm sure, because you did that so smoothly. I'm sure if somebody did their first trailer, 2-minute trailer, they're not going to do that naturally. So you can't take a class to learn that. That comes to practice, huh?
It comes with practice, yeah. I mean, this is years of it. When I first started out, I didn't know how to edit, so I was relying on men to teach me to do it. So let me say that. So that's another cost, right? So once and this is no offense to men, but they edit it differently than what I would do. I like softer. Most women like softer. We're a little softer when we edit, right? So yeah. So even when I'm on set, I'm always thinking about how to edit. I'm thinking about the angle. I'm thinking about what it's going to look like when I get home and actually look at the footage. So, but yeah. So yeah, it's one of those things you just have to keep practicing over and over and over again. Now I know how to do it a lot faster. I know what the story I want it to look like. Even before I sit down to edit. So yeah, it's just it's fun.
Torn Apart is coming to a city near you right now. We have a few locations. And like I said, in the Nightdale area, we're going to have a meet and greet on March 10th at the ACE Center. And then you'll be going to New York, back to New York, Brooklyn, New York, Brownsville to be exact. June 6th in New York, Atlanta, June 9th, back to Charlotte on June 18th. And then Raleigh, North Carolina, she's going to be right here, right in your backyard at the Garner Performing Arts Center on the 27th. Yes. And then after all these, we're going to celebrate her right here with her family on the 28th. We'll be here on the 28th to celebrate her June 28th. But let me ask you something. Are you looking for more cities to take this to? Are you wanting more cities? If anybody watches this, would you like to make an appeal to any movie theater owners, or what is it that you need? How can we help you?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I won't say no. I would say that it may not be for this particular film, because after the releases, then it goes to Patreon. I'm looking to do more streaming on it. But when we do Torn Apart again, we can definitely talk about what that could look like, to release that movie. So, and that, again, we will be shooting in September, and it'll be edited a couple of months later, right? So we're shooting for next year to be able to do this. And it takes an effort to organize all this. That's why I'm a little hesitant about, hey, yeah, just go ahead and let me know, and then we can be there. But we want to make the most bang for our buck, so to speak. And so when we're advertising about everything now, it's not piecemeal. It's all at one time. And that way too, that helps us to make sure that we don't spread ourselves too thin. But we're building on this for Torn Apart again, which is the next movie, to be able to say, hey, we were in these cities, we can add more cities at that point, right? So yeah, so definitely say reach out to me. You can email me or get on our distribution list and then send me something directly. But yes, we can definitely talk about that and what that could look like, because we definitely want to make sure that each one of these places are sold out. And we're going to journey it by taking pictures, getting some film footage from it, so that way it becomes part of the journey, so to speak. And that way it can encourage other people to say, you can do it too. This is what we had to do to get this result. and you can do it as well.
And they need to go to Rock, Groove, and Jam.
It's Rock, Groove, AND, Jam at gmail.com. Rock, Groove, and Jam at gmail.
So go to Rock, Groove, and then the AND and Jam, and definitely at gmail.com to let her know if you have a theater, or are you going to need more actors and actresses in September?
We've already gotten them, but if they want to be an extra, we can definitely, talk about that. So that's always a way for so we may not necessarily have a aligned role for you right now, but connect with us because we have other projects that we're working on as well. So that might be an opportunity for some actors to come on out and at least meet us and build, because that's what we're doing now. We're building at this point.
Okay. Are you also into helping other people with their films, or right now you're just working on your own things? So
it depends, right? So I am working with a girl now who she graduated from film school, and so she's working on the projects I have. So eventually I have told her, when you're ready to do yours, then we can talk about that as well, because it's not just April, right? It is definitely trying to encourage other people to be able to follow their dreams as well. So yeah, so we definitely will talk about that. And
if someone wants to start their own film industry, is it I'm not going to say is it easy, I'm not going to say is it hard, but I'm sure it's something that you have to be thinking through and you have to plan. What would be your advice to anyone that wants to go in the film industry, that are looking to follow the pathway like you, kind of like get their feet wet a little bit, write a little bit, but then they want to be on film? What would be your advice to them?
Patience. You're not gonna be superstar tomorrow. This is a long game, right? So I would say that, what I tell you, 17 years ago is when I did my first feature, right? So now I'm more comfortable in my skin. I have made more connections, but that's because I was doing something along the way. And there was a time when I didn't do anything, right? Because I wanted to push the dream down, but I still kept going once I got the mantle back, right? So I would say you have to have some money. And part of it too is investing in yourself, whether it's taking a class, whether it's investing in your own movie, right? Because there was a time when I'm like, all right, well, this is an investment, right? So sometimes you have to, drive around in a car that's not new, or you have to eat beans and rice. Many times that was my staple, right? Because I believed in it. So just like anything, you have to put the hours into it to make sure it's the best. I would say don't go after the money, go after the product. Make sure that your product is something that people don't mind reading over and over, or seeing over and over and over again, because you've done something good. Because guess what? You have a good product, they'll tell other people. And then that's how you make your money, right? To be able to do more things like this. But if you just went and said, hey, I'm just going to make a fast buck, that's exactly what you got, a fast buck. It's nothing lasting, because there's some movies I have turned off after the first minute, so I can't do it, because you have to remember, everybody has a dream when they're doing this, right? So if I'm watching a movie, that's somebody's dream.
Right.
I have a dream that I want somebody, and I want to share with other people. So if they buy into my dream, or they like my dream, then they'll support me so I can do more of that. So if you think of it that way, investing in yourself, take a class, like I said, take a class, or and to treat people with kindness. I know that is one of those little cliches, but it is so true. It's like, what I've learned is be gracious too, because there's sometimes people didn't have to give me their time. They didn't have to do open a door for me. You didn't have to have me on your show, right? But there was something about knowing my mom, and then here I am, and I told you I'm very grateful to be here, to be able to talk to your audience, and then in turn, I'm going to put this podcast on my website, so that way people who I know can then know you as well, right? So this is part of the community that we're building, and that's not a mindset that people especially people of color, need to start thinking of what does the community look like? You can't do this by yourself. You cannot, So you'll see on once a month on that Tuesday. The next one is March the 10th. You'll see someone talk about their nonprofit. You'll see someone talk about their business. I think you said you're coming, right? So then you talk to the audience about your podcast, right? So that's new people that you're bringing into it, and this is the community that we're building. Positiveness. It's the energy that we create. 2 or more gathered in His name. That's always going to be my mantra.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from April Mial, man. She's been doing it for 17 years. She's letting you know it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy, but don't give up on you. But you will need to invest in you. You will need to put some time, some energy, and you will put some money behind yourself. If you want to get better at what you're doing, you have to invest in yourself. Because if you don't invest in yourself, nobody else will, right? Because it's not going to show. So definitely want to do that. And April is doing amazing work. You're going to see this coming to a city near you. Remember the name. Rock, Groove, and Jam. Rock, Groove, and Jam. Catchy name. Remember that name, because I'm telling you right now, she is going to be going places. I'm so impressed with you and all the work that you've done, your professionalism, and your desire to want to, do this for the women. I hear you talk about women a lot, women being valuable, women being on the forefront. Did something happen to make you want to focus more on the ladies, or that's just, you just said, listen, I'm a woman, so I'm just going to advocate for ladies?
It wasn't necessarily something that happened to me per se, but it was always, I always had to fight for everything that I've had, right? So like in my professional career, I'm a technical project manager, right? So I've had to fight for everything, right? Even if I was at my A game and someone else was at their C game, I still got the same pay or less, right? So when you start to think about that, I said, I want this to be a place where women are valued. When they show up, I can show up with them. Maybe not at that exact time I can pay them what they're worth, but at least I can acknowledge it, and then we can move towards that, right? So if it's not money, it can be something else, whether it's marketing, getting their name out there, whatever it can be. But I just know the fight that I had, and I definitely wanted to show other women that, this ain't a place where you got to fight, unless it's a good fight that you're putting the best product out there, but you don't have to fight for that value. I recognize it.
Wow. April, is there anybody that you'd like to work with as an actor or actress or producer or anybody that you have set in your mind that while you're doing this, you would love to collaborate with in a future project?
Okay, so I'm old school, but I'm going to do Oprah.
Oh, nice.
I love Oprah. I definitely would love to work with her. I would love to work with Chandra. And I love Bridgerton, so I definitely want that mind. She's got a great mind, but these are women who think beyond what the box was, right? So they really thought outside the box and believed in themselves. And even when they started out, they were the only ones, women of color, in a room full of older white men, right? So they had something of value. And then they weren't skinny, right? They weren't the typical, svelte looking, woman that most people would think are beautiful, right? But guess what? It was their craft. It was the work that they did, and then everything else came. Look at them now; they're gorgeous. They got money. They give back to the community. All of these different factors, but the biggest thing is the work that they did was solid, and it was something that people can always go back to and we be proud. But of course, Michelle. Let me throw her out there too, Michelle, because they're producing as well. Michelle and Barack are producing as well. So it's old school, but you know what? That's the world I want to live in that world. So
nice. A few more questions, and then we'll bring this to a close and land this plane. As you go on, and when people do go to these movies and they know that April Mials is that person, What do you want people to say after they watch your film? What do you want them to take away from your work?
That I took the time to create good stories, right? And I took the time to care, and I took the time to give back, and that I took the time to want the best, whether it's with the cast, the crew, the story, the marketing, and I just want people to appreciate who I am and what I bring through my dreams, through my work. So
wow. And I can tell you already, they will. They will. From what I say, I'm a hard person to critique something. I'm a analytical person, and I'm always doing quality control. So I haven't seen anything yet. So I say kudos to you. You're doing an amazing job. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would like to let people know about you, about something coming up, about anything that we did not cover?
Thank you for that. So I do have a couple of things. The first thing is we will have a webisode that is going to come out in August. It's called Circled. So after the movie premiere in June, then in August, we will have something called Circles, a webisode, and that'll be available only online, right? So when you go to the website, you'll be able to get a little bit more information when it becomes available. The next thing is I have written a book called For One Season, and it's about a young woman-ish. She's 35 years old, and she's divorced, mother of 3, and she decides that she wants to go back into the WNBA, which was always a dream of hers. But, life got in the way, so to speak. So the first book was well received, and I'm working on the second one now, which will be finished at the end of March. So look out for that as well. But people like what that is, and we'll eventually turn that into a series and a movie as well. So I'm pretty excited about the things. But yeah, why not? Right? Why not? Let's
Yeah. And I also like to give my guests the opportunity to say thank you to anybody you want to thank. If it's some actors, some venue owners, your parents, anything, or anyone. I always give people the opportunity to give flowers out now. I feel like that's always a good thing because it's just necessary. We need to always acknowledge that. So if there's anything that you'd like to say to anyone who has worked with you, supported you through this whole time, I'll allow you the opportunity to do that now.
Thank you for that. Well, first, I'm going to give honor to God. Okay. That's who I'm going to thank first. Okay. Then I'll thank my parents. My parents are awesome. They push me, they support me. They're in my corner, and they both say, whatever we can do to help you to get to your dream, then we're here for you. And I love that. Family, friends, cousins, there's so many people I could thank, but I'm not going to name everybody individually because then we'll be here all night. But cast and crew, there, when we filmed in Atlanta, it was the crew that I met the first time, but we all gelled as if we had known each other forever, right? So definitely cast and crew, actors, the community coming back here, the communities in the different locations that we're going to be having the movie release in New York, Brooklyn, Atlanta, Charlotte, and in Raleigh. There's a lot of love here for what we're doing. And I'm just very, very thankful for everybody. I'm also, again, thankful for you and this platform to be able to share what we're doing and just being a part of this makes me happy. So thank you again for this. I really appreciate this.
Oh, my goodness. I appreciate you. And, we're just asking God to continue to use us to be a light, be a catalyst for hope for people, and to, if we all come together, we work together, we need each other, that's it. And so I'm grateful, I'm honored, and I'm delighted. I'm looking forward to sharing more people's stories. So if you're watching this and you have a story too, just know that you can definitely contact and reach me, because that is the mission. The mission is to get your story told too. No story is too small. Everybody is important. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be some mega influencer or celebrity status. If you're an ordinary person doing extraordinary things, we want to hear about your story. If you've overcome something, if you've transformed, if you have been through and you climbed over those obstacles, we want to hear about that, because your testimony is going to help somebody else. So remember that. That's what it's all about. It's not for us. What we go through is not for us. So we've been listening to April Mials, and we want you to go and make sure you go to rockgrooveandjam.com and support her and see how you can get on her mailing list and find out what's coming up next. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Storytime. My name is Krista Bodie Smith. I'm your Hope Catalyst. My mission is to stir up the gift, instill hope, and save lives. My tagline is one that you've heard many, many times, and we just lost a great man who also used it, and he probably set it up along with somebody else, and that was Jesse Jackson. And I say keep hope alive. And I want you to recycle that hope over and over. April, we thank you so much, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I look forward to having conversations with you. I know this was not by mistake. It was divine intervention indeed. I saw whenever I see things and I see the connections, I go, okay, God, I see you. You know, I know he's something. I'll be like, you are something else, you know. Yeah, best wishes to you and your family. And thank y'all so much for watching. We hope that not only this month for Black History Month, but that you will continue to appreciate and respect all those who have put in the work to make a difference, to make an impact, you know. And we've got some more great stories for you. Subscribe to the channel. Scroll through and look at some of the stories and see what resonates with you. And God bless you all. Thank you for watching Storytime. Thank you, April. Any closing comments?
No, I'm like you just said, just go for it. You know, whatever your dream is, just take that one step, you know, and then you'll be able to take another step. So yeah.
One foot in front of the other. And on that note, we'll see you on the next Storytime. Thank you for watching. God bless everyone.
A catalyst for change with the chance to thrive. Crystal is the one to stir up this and save lives. You get exposure, promotion, and marketing too. And advertise for business owners just like you. On Storytime, your interview is global. Virtual or in person, just come on the show. Yo, your story matters. Crystals will open the door. 40 years of experience ready to give you more on Storytime. Get ready for Storytime.